We have had a doozy of a day.
A real doozy.
There we were.
Yep.
Minding our own business.
Yep.
Making some improvements to my new house.
To the new house.
When all of a sudden, out of nowhere...
She just smiled and held my hand.
Welcome back to Geeked on Big Brother. This is Shannon.
And Keith.
And we are now going to talk about week, I believe it's 7? 6? 7?
Oh, I don't have a clue how many weeks it's been at this point.
So this is the first week. The person who goes home from this week will be the first member of the jury. So
that means Kaser must be gone.
Yeah, that means Kaser has gone, and now we can start jury. No, so this week was I think started out kind of funny. It was an endurance competition, and Dani was wanted to make sure she outlasted her rival, who's Tyler.
Rival in her alliance.
Her rival, who's in her alliance, and I just want to make sure we point that out here at the beginning because of what happens at the end, because I think it's pretty funny. So she wanted to make sure she outlasted Tyler, and then Tyler fell, and she was like, okay, I don't want to make it look too obvious, but I'm going to fall here in a second. And then her other two alliance members both were like, oh crud, I don't want this HOH, and oopsie, I fell off the wall.
But we did predict 2 of the final 3 at the end of the last episode. Small feet always win that competition.
Teeny tiny feet make it easier. I'm not sure what happened there with Cody, though.
Well, he's an athlete.
Yeah. And neither of them wanted to win, and rightfully so. And so Dani wins the HOH. If you take a look at her right after she wins, it's hard to tell if she's crying or if she's happy. I mean, it's really a real funny face. I'll try to get a picture of that and put it in here. So she's HOH, and she goes round and about, and she basically floats the idea to her alliance of nominating Tyler. And, well, and when I mean her alliance, I mean Cody, pretty much. So
Pretty much.
she floats it to Cody. She floats it to Nicole, and Nicole says, well, if everyone else says okay, I'll go with whatever.
But I prefer not to.
But I prefer not to, meaning no. And then she floats it to Cody, and Cody basically shuts it completely down. So then Dani nominates Kevin, boo, and she nominates David.
He is the strangest game ever, David.
Yes.
But David still has that disruptor power in his pocket, so he goes.
And there he goes. And then he makes a very strange decision. I mean, yes, he's going to use his disruptor power, but he uses the strange decision to pretend like he wasn't the one who saved him.
I don't know what he was accomplishing or thought he was accomplishing.
Well, I don't know. How is that a good thing?
Maybe he's sowing more seeds of doubt in the alliance. But the only person he could possibly hurt at that point is Tyler.
I don't know.
And haven't you done that enough?
Right, and haven't you heard poor Tyler's game enough?
Poor Tyler, yeah. Okay,
yeah, poor Tyler. Well, yeah. I just mean... So, yeah, he obviously saves himself, and the lady cackles over the system, which I thought was pretty funny. Someone's using the power.
Which put Dani in the position to instantly have to
instantly nominate. Yeah.
Which, of course, leads to the inevitable result of Tyler on the block.
Put on a block. And Tyler goes to her afterwards, and she basically, says, I'm not coming after you. I just had to nominate someone. You understand. Well, I understand that there were other people not in our alliance who weren't up, i.e. Ian and Davon. And, yeah, but no, we're cool. We're so cool.
Yes, the two of them trying to pretend like everything's fine is really...
Really dumb.
Just something to watch.
So then, I guess that leads to the power of veto.
Well, that leads to a few days of Danny saying, all right, whoever wins the veto, just don't use it.
Right.
Just don't use it.
Nobody
Just
used the
don't use
veto.
it.
Nobody used the veto, yeah. And then they pull names for the veto competition. And,
Well, I think you're skipping a step.
well, go ahead.
Danny was able to secure a working deal and the promise of Miss Devon to keep nominations the same.
Right, that was after. Yeah, they pulled names. When Davon was playing.
Was it after?
Yeah, because she knew Davon was playing in the competition.
Okay.
So, yeah, so she got Davon to promise she wouldn't use the power of veto.
And it was a delightfully odd collection of people playing for this veto.
And I just have to say, what a cute little veto that was too.
Those tiny cans.
The little tiny cans and the stacking. I just miniature anything is cute, of course, but that looked like it was interesting. We've never seen it before.
Yeah.
And how could you have prepared for that?
And I do believe it's actually the amount of liquor house guests are allowed to have now.
That could very well be.
So they're stacking, yada, yada, yada. Let's skip to the end. Devon wins the power of veto.
Devon wins the power of veto.
I know that sounds weird, but yes, Devon won something.
And how she was so excited about it. And she should be, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And I read somewhere that she was the first black woman since season 10, I think, in 10 years that had won a competition in Big Brother.
What about Casey?
They're not counting her. She's Puerto Rican or something, right?
Oh.
I don't.
She's half black. Whatever.
Whatever. Anyway, interesting. I just wanted to throw that out there, and then of course I can't really remember what it said, but so congratulations to Devon, and
Absolutely.
then after she wins the POV, immediately Danny's like, you can't use it. You promised you wouldn't use it, and you're gonna keep it the same, right?
And Devon says sure.
And she goes on a full court press on her not to use the POV. Well, if anything tells you should use a dang POV, it's when the HOH is coming at you hardcore not to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I loved it. At one point, she pitched to Devon, well, if you use it on Kevin, then people are going to see you and Kevin as a pair. I'm sorry, what?
Okay.
At this point, is there any doubt that there's like 50 pairs in there? I
Well,
mean,
at this point, is there any doubt that Devon and Kevin are stuck together?
right, they're stuck together. Yes. Devon and
Oh, I'm sorry,
Kevin
Devon
and
could
David.
have David.
Well, the three of them really are stuck together.
Yeah, basically.
And I don't know. Yeah.
So, they pressure her not to use it.
Right.
Well, okay, Danny pressures her not to use it. And then Danny strong-arms the rest of her alliance to pressure Devon not to use it. And Devon starts thinking, but the best thing for my game is Kevin staying here.
Right.
Because it is.
Because it was. Yeah. I mean, it's a number, for Pete's sake. And the game's about numbers, not about you thinking I'm aligned. I mean, you're coming after me anyway.
Right.
And so then Danny is pretty sure she's going to use it. She starts floating the idea of nominating Ian to her, and Nicole has pretty much a meltdown. Sort of. I don't think Nicole was what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think she was really worried about losing Ian in the house. But that Danny went against her, chose to go against her versus going against Cody, because the options were either Ian or Enzo in Nicole's mind. Tyler was already up.
All right, Tyler was up. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
It's okay. So it was so Ian and Enzo are the people outside of the committee, or outside of the alliance,
Is that the committee or is it? Yes, that's the
The
committee.
committee, yeah. I always get them confused, but outside of the committee that could go up,
Right.
and so instead of going against Enzo, but Nicole doesn't know that Danny has another alliance
Right.
with Enzo.
And I also think that Nicole's not surprised. And as we found out later, she really didn't care that much.
Yeah.
Because Nicole is just using everyone she can to try and make her seem popular
Right.
with America.
Yeah.
But this is going to lead us to a topic that has come up too much this season. And I am going to talk about it this week, and I've really been hesitant to talk about it. We've got fans on the message boards trying to claim Memphis is a racist because of a conversation he was having with Cody where he got interrupted mid-sentence and was saying Nicole.
Mm.
And they want to say he was saying another N word.
Mm-hmm.
Because this conversation started about David, and Memphis was transitioning to David and Nicole
Right.
something.
Yeah.
And CBS looked at it and looked at the footage and looked at the footage, and they've come back and said, no, there was nothing wrong, there was nothing racist, this is just getting out of hand.
Right.
But that little syllable, that one syllable, is enough for the fans to blow up.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about the thing that the fans don't respond to. Dani goes to Ian before she makes her decision
Yeah.
and says, who would your nominees be if you were to win HOH? And Ian's response is Davon, David, and Kevin. What do those three have in common that the rest of the house guests don't? So, if we're going to start throwing words around, let's put a little action into it too and say, well,
Yeah. This is a hard topic to touch on.
it's not a topic we like talking
No.
about because there's no winners in these conversations.
Right, there's no winning this conversation for sure. Here's what I think has gone down in this season. I think that there was some pre-gaming that happened. And I think that the reason the people on the outside, including Janelle and Kaser, were on the outside is because of they weren't included in the pre-gaming.
Right.
I think Dan and what's his name? I'm blanking right now. Derek got those two guys to work together because it's good for their legacy, and it's, you know, whether or not this is true or not, I'm spinning a narrative here, but you know, whether or not it's true, I don't know. But I think that there are things in place.
Yeah.
That beforehand, I think that
a lot of these people know each other well.
They know each other well. And the younger, especially the more recent seasons, know
Right.
each other well. I mean, because they've been to their, you know.
Right. There's a fraternity sorority thing.
I don't think it has anything to do with race.
No.
I think it has to do with a pre-gaming that happened when nobody was thinking about, oh crud, we probably should be, you know, I don't know, sensitive to race in this.
But I also think this season's being colored by last season and by some other seasons and some other house guests. These people are not those people.
Right.
A lot of the people that we're hearing these racist claims against are people that were in place, or people from way back,
Yeah.
who we have a long history with, and it's just not there.
Right.
Okay, I think I've said what I wanted to say on this topic.
Okay.
I don't think there's any overtly racist stuff going on. David's playing a terrible game.
He is playing a really bad game.
Davon had a clear partner. Everybody knew it. And Kevin has not been targeted because he's blazing.
Well, no.
Kevin's targeted because he's kind of a threat, and the longer he's there, the more of a threat he becomes, because everyone likes him.
Well, I think he's kind of a threat, but he's been on the outside. He's not part of that core group. But I think if he stays, he keeps being nominated. I keep getting points for him being nominated and taken off the block or being saved. So go Kevin in that aspect. But at the same time, they keep nominating him, but nobody seems to think he's going home. Except for maybe this week.
Right.
So Davon uses the POV to save Kevin. Because everyone basically told her not to, which tells her she needs to.
Yep.
And it made the most sense for her game.
And Dani, in a almost near fit and crying, nominates Ian. We all knew it was coming.
Oh, I also, I guess we should have said before, I wanted to point out there was a house, there was a committee meeting. Everyone was woken up in the middle of the night, right before
3:45 a.m.
Yeah, to pulled into the HOH right before the POV to talk about how they were going to intimidate Davon to not use this POV.
Yes, a harassment plan was put in place.
It was just really bad gameplay. The thought process behind it.
Yep, absolutely.
It was really. So basically, they said they were going to go to her, tell her if she did this that she would be nominated next week. Well, she was going to be nominated next week anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how that makes her want to stop you.
It was nonsensical, and one person told them it was nonsensical.
Yeah.
And that's the guy who, in my presumption, is playing one of the best games. Sorry, Memphis is doing the thing.
Yeah, so he says in the middle of the night, he says in the conversation, well, if we do this outs the alliance.
Yeah.
And then in the next morning, he goes back, he lets her basically, Dani, say whatever she wants to say, make whatever plan she wants to make. And in the morning, he says to her, we can't do this.
Yep.
It outs the alliance. And,
What alliance?
Right. Well, I mean, the fact that I think the people that are not seen as in the alliance right now are Christmas and Memphis, right? It seems everyone's surprised when they come out of the house that Christmas and Memphis are in this alliance. But yeah.
Well, Christmas and Memphis are just better at hiding it.
They're just better. And they're not hanging out with them 24/7, and that's the other problem. They're just all hanging out.
Well, would you hang out with Dani 24/7?
No, I don't think so.
All right, sorry, we're adding way too much time to this conversation.
So Ian is nominated and almost immediately goes into meltdown and thinks he has a flip out on Dani and thinks that Dani has been played into putting him up. And because of her speech that she gave saying that he was going up as the ultimate pawn.
Yeah.
Which come on, man.
Ian, this genius player who won a season against the best player in history, is completely baffled that he might be the target.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you can argue all you want. Ian was led around by the nose
This season.
This season and the first time.
I think it's very possible, yeah. We didn't, yeah. I don't remember the feeds from back then, but I do remember thinking there was nobody playing a better game than Dan.
Yeah, well, he either did what Brittany told him.
Yeah, that's true.
Or he did what Dan told him.
Yeah.
Or he just stayed out of Dan's way.
Right. And he won, which kept him safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Every big move that he made was someone else telling him to do it. Well, when he went after Frank, it was Brittany telling him to get rid of Frank.
Yeah. Well, and he was in that alliance. He had that, he was in the one, was it not the Jocks,
No, it was they weren't.
No, they picked Brittany's team.
They were
right.
drafted.
Yeah, drafted. And
Ian was on Boogie's team.
But they all stayed together
With
the
Frank,
longest.
Right, with Frank
and so he had all these shields.
Jen.
Yeah, Jen. So he had Frank and Jen as shields for a long time.
Yeah.
And they kept, and Frank and kept winning early.
Right, and Ian was a goofy kid that nobody was targeting because he was a goofy kid.
Right. Yes. So, you're right.
But even Ian thought that he was in this magical Quack Pack alliance that was fake.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
so
anyway,
don't tell me Ian's a great player.
No, I wouldn't.
It's a lie. I know you're not, but these people were so convinced that Ian was so great and he beat Dan. No. A bitter jury beat the hell out of a guy who was so much better than the rest of them.
So, shocker alert, Tyler does not get evicted for the week. Ian does. And this is after, though, Danny spent a lot of time syncing her game with Tyler, syncing her game with her alliance members by even putting Tyler on the block. And I think she did so much damage she did a lot of damage to her game this week.
Yeah.
And the twist didn't help her either. But, so she basically nominated 4 people this week.
Twists are twists. They happen.
They happen. But she could have managed it better.
And I did hear some Danny fans complaining how she was the most screwed HOH of all time.
No.
And I only have one response to that.
Yeah.
Jesse.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesse was playing an incredible game.
Yeah.
I know people don't like to admit it. I know people didn't like Jesse initially. He was playing a great game.
But I have to say, I feel bad for Jesse, but it was a cool Big Brother moment, though.
Well, yeah, because it turned into a season that was
changed the entire season.
Yeah.
And that's
followed up by Jeff's eviction. It completely blew open the doors for anything to happen, and anything did.
So Ian goes out, and I thought he was really cool when he went out. He actually he did what I think you should do. They were right to get rid of me.
We're going to leave out all the whiny parts about Ian saying, I'm just going home.
Oh, yeah,
I'm not going to church.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I don't know we don't know for sure if that was game or if that was the truth. So he did spend a lot of time in the house saying, if you send me out, I'm just going home. Or if you send me out, I'm going to vote for anybody who voted to keep me. Oh, and I guess we should talk about the actual vote. Because,
folks, I think we've gotten to the bottom of why these videos get so long.
Oh, I know. Well, we can skip talking about the vote, I guess. But it was very hinky. Basically, Nicole could have voted to keep him. And I think there is a chance Danny would have sent Tyler out. But she could have blowed up her game, and so she didn't. Or at least that's what she's saying.
But Enzo could have blown up Danny's game, too.
Oh, I was so hoping for another Enzo hinky vote.
Yeah.
I would have loved it. Because I do think he could have done it, and nobody would have thought it was him.
Right.
And I think that's the best time for a good old hinky vote.
Yep, absolutely.
Plus, what did Enzo have to lose? Tyler? Maybe? But
he still had Cody, so who cares?
Yeah, but he does like Tyler, it seems like.
Yeah.
So he goes out. He's pretty cool about it. He does the thing you should do, which is, they were right to get rid of me.
I do say it every time that is the right response.
It's the right response. And good for them. They were right to get rid of me. Yeah. And I think his response to it being a plan was better than the random and I just got outvoted kind of thing. And then the end of the episode is we start the next HOH competition, which is a puzzle, it looks like.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to see too much of it, but there were a couple people who looked like they were doing pretty well when we left it.
Absolutely.
So that is it for this week.
We didn't do the score checkup in there.
Yeah.
So let's get that real quick.
So he's going the member of jury. Oh, we also got a reveal from Julie that there's going to be a neighbor moving in her
Oh,
story.
yes. Some kind of neighbor who's a big brother luminary, as they say.
Yeah.
She also used the phrase someone that people would recognize, even if this were very early in their Big Brother history. Like if they were in their first season, possibly. And that brought one name to my mind. If you're watching your first season of Big Brother and you're going to recognize someone,
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris is a
MPH.
Big Brother luminary. He's connected to Big Brother. He's been in the house, and everyone would recognize him. The other option, of course, being Tamar Braxton, last year's Celebrity Big Brother winner. It's a possibility.
That could be a possibility. Other things that I had heard is somebody mentioned maybe it's going to be Zingbot.
But if it's your first season,
A
you
remote
wouldn't have a
scene.
clue who Zingbot was.
Right, but everybody will love Zingbot, of course.
Yes.
So, let's see. Let's do a check-in now on the Fantasy League. It looks like Keith is in the lead with 17 points.
Woohoo!
I come in right behind him with 15 points. OCS Palm has 13. Ost has 11. Kickle has 7. And the Marley Jane has 7. Oh Hey Allison has 4 points. And Bitty Bum Bum has -4.
Oof.
Oof.
Well, still some game left to be played.
Yeah.
Thrilled to be leading right now, but I'm not sure that's going to hold up. We'll see how that goes. I hope you guys are still following along, and next year we'll be doing another one for our listeners if you want to join in.
Yep.
So we'll get to that next year, of course. We do want to make the announcement that we will be moving. We're adding on to our schedule here at Geeked on TV.
Yep.
We've got Masked Singer coming up this week.
Right.
I'm not so sure we will do much more than a blurb on the show that follows it the first time and see from there. We will be doing a challenge show when that starts back up too. So I hope you guys,
Yeah, come in and join us and
like,
chat.
subscribe,
Yeah.
come in and have conversations with us. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this week that we'll be able to get some time to talk about the rumored cast for the challenge. Because the rumored cast has some great, interesting names.
It does. And you don't know it yet, but we do love the challenge.
Oh, we love the challenge.
All right, then. I guess that's enough for this week. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yep, thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, send your friends, whatever you want to do, or just leave us a comment and call us idiots.
Ha! All right.
Well, maybe not that, because, here's your reminder.